ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. I want you to know that my mother, and this just came to me, my mother's favorite saying to me was, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all.
Yes, yes, yes. Is that something written on the walls?
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I have one on my walls that said, you know, don't ever get excited about anything, you might be disappointed, you know.
Indelible ink.
But it's written there, okay?
It's definitely there, and I really wasn't aware of it to the extent that it's been, and I'm very nervous right now because that would be standing up here and speaking correctly, so I'm very, very nervous. And so that came to me just now. Thank you.
Yeah, say the words again, would you please?
I'm sorry?
Say the words again. The writing on the walls.
My mother would say to me?
Yes.
If you're going to do something, do it right. If you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all.
Yes, okay.
And therefore, if something is going to be done right, you have to do it yourself. So
that's a good one too.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, those are the three things she would say to me all the time. So if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. But if it's going to get done right, you have to do it yourself. Whoa, hello.
Uh-huh.
So what has, I mean, that was huge. But what had come up for me earlier was that you were saying that if we were famous and we had people waiting at our door, you know, what was the tail end of that? And for me, the tail end of that was that I'm not ready for them because I might fail. Gee whiz, I wonder where that came from.
Yeah, I have no idea. Nobody else has that, by the way. You're alone. You're all by yourself.
And then, but what is okay for me is it's okay for me to work for free because I don't fail if I work for free.
Oh, okay. If you work for free, you don't fail. Oh, and give me the logic of why it is you don't fail if you work for free.
I don't have to give them their money back. I haven't fooled them. I haven't taken something from them that I didn't deserve. That I'm fudged up.
Fudged up?
I didn't fudge up.
Yeah, okay.
And then the other thing with the money that came to me was this was also from my mother, that I'm not the one who's supposed to be making the money. I'm supposed to be marrying into the money.
Yes.
And I did, but I'm not, and it's no longer.
It was temporary.
And so therefore, you know, and even though.
Okay. All right. One of the common things in there, and thank you, Barbara, for bringing that up, and stick around, okay?
Okay.
One of the common things in there was the bit about I don't deserve. In fact, we touched on that a little bit earlier with some other tapping, didn't we? We didn't usually read the term deserve so much. Give me those words again.
Which ones?
The one about I don't deserve them. I said if you said you have to deal. No, if you deal, you cannot fail if you deal with.
If I'm giving it away for free, I cannot fail.
Yes. Okay. And the reason you cannot fail is?
Because then I didn't make a mistake. I wasn't a failure. I didn't fall flat on my face. I didn't disappoint somebody. I didn't disappoint my mother. I didn't disappoint myself.
Yes.
The universe, all my goals, my aspirations, my dreams.
Yes.
Yes.
And all the other writings on your walls.
And all the other writings on my walls.
That are in capital letters.
They're in capital letters.
With me, everybody. Okay. Even though I have some fear.
Even though I have some fear.
And maybe a lot of fear.
And maybe a lot of fear.
Of trying to do this silly thing.
I'm trying to do this silly thing.
With resistant clients.
With resistant clients.
And looking bad because it didn't work.
And looking bad because it didn't work.
Or even if it did work and they didn't recognize it.
And even if they didn't recognize it. Exactly.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Because these people are going to go out.
Because these people are going to go out.
And talk about me.
And talk about me.
And how weird Barbara is.
And how weird Barbara is.
Do you know what she did?
You know what she did?
And she wants to charge money for that.
And she wants to charge money for that.
Can you believe that?
Can you believe that?
And she thinks she actually helped me.
She thinks she actually helped me.
And I forgot what it was she helped me with.
What she helped me with.
What was that anyway?
What was that anyway?
I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit, you know. So anyway, even though I have this fear of failure.
Even though I have this fear of failure.
And this fear of other people talking behind my back.
And this fear of other people talking behind my back.
And this fear of not only what clients will say.
And this fear of what every clients will say.
But what my colleagues will say.
What my colleagues will say.
You know, there's that dopey so-and-so.
There's that dopey so-and-so.
She thinks somehow tapping on the body with the fingertips
She thinks somehow tapping on the body with the
is going to do
fingertips
something worthwhile.
could do something worthwhile.
She thinks she can do as well as I can,
She thinks she can do as well as I can,
which is not very well.
which is not very well.
Sorry, I had to put that one in.
So throw that one in.
There was something else that was coming to my mind. What was it? Well, it'll come to me. It'll come to me. Even though I have this fear of failure.
Even though I have this fear of failure.
One of the reasons I have this fear.
One of the reasons I have this fear
is because I haven't taken the rest of this business course with Gary.
Because I haven't taken the rest of this business course with Gary.
Who is going to introduce to me sooner or later.
Who's going to introduce to me sooner or later.
Ways to build a bridge.
Ways to build a bridge.
So that clients that we have.
So that clients that we have.
And colleagues that we know.
And colleagues that we know.
That have no place in their belief system to link this to.
Will have no place in their belief systems to link this to.
Will naturally think that we're stupid.
Will naturally think that we're stupid.
Because we don't have anything to connect with the writing on their walls.
Because we don't have anything to connect with the writing on their walls.
And if I can somehow bridge that.
And if I can somehow bridge that.
So that people I talk to.
So that people I talk to.
Will say, oh, I get that.
Oh, I get that.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I see.
Oh, you mean it's like this?
Oh, you mean it's
Only
like
you do
this?
that?
Or like that?
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Maybe they'll actually have a different attitude.
Maybe they'll actually have a different attitude.
And I can go back.
And I can go back
to doing regular therapy.
To doing regular therapy.
Or I can stub my toe once in a while.
And stub my toe.
And I'll be okay.
And I'll be okay.
I can even charge for it.
And I'll even charge for it.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. Any questions about that, by the way? That's a very important. Anybody else have any other? I'm going to need you a microphone to do it. You have to hustle on back, if you will. Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay.
Shame comes into it.
Shame comes in. Let me pull this down a little bit. I don't know how to. Oh, it's right here. I think. Oh, go ahead.
Shame comes into it.
Okay, let me do it this way. There we go. Okay, shame how?
And I understand that it has to do with external judgment, obviously.
Yes.
But somewhere deep down ingrained in me, and is written in very bold letters, that if you put yourself out there, you're going to be, and I'm feeling it right now with all kinds of eyes behind me.
Yes.
You're going to be a target for everybody else's whatever is going on, their shtick that's going on.
Okay.
And then I'm obviously imperfect, as is the human condition, so they're going to find something, and they'll be right.
Of course.
I'll be wrong.
Of course. Tap with me. Tap with me.
Yes.
Tap with me. Even though I'm really worried about judgment.
Even though I'm really worried about judgment.
Which is another name for fear of failure.
Which is another
The name of fear of failure.
The reality is,
The reality
I'm going to be judged anyway.
I'm going to be judged.
It doesn't matter what I do.
Doesn't matter what I do.
It doesn't matter if I make a whole lot of money.
Doesn't matter if I make
People are
a
going to
whole
judge
lot
me
of
for
money.
making a whole lot of money. If I'm in the poverty lines
If I'm in the poverty line
and getting welfare checks,
and getting welfare checks,
people are going to judge me.
the people are going to judge me.
If I'm somewhere in between,
If I'm somewhere in between,
people are going to judge me.
people are going to judge me.
As long as they're going to judge me,
Ones are going to judge me.
they might as well do it in style.
Might as well do it in
Or
style.
I might as well, as long as I'm going to be judged, I might as well be judged in style.
Yeah, as long as I'm going to be judged, I might as well be judged in style.
But that's the reality. That's the reality. Everybody here is going to be judged. You're judged right now. Okay? And you were right. People were looking. They were judging you. Absolutely. Were you not judging her? Yeah, absolutely. Good, bad, or otherwise, you were judging her. Okay? Are you judging me? Absolutely. You have to, because everything I say, every gesture I make, everything that you say, etc., you have to you have to consult the writing on your walls and say, what does this mean? And the writing then tells you. And that judgment, of course, is excuse me, here. Even though I think judgment has reality.
Even though I think judgment has reality.
What really happens with judgment.
What really happens with judgment
Is I consult the writing on my walls.
is I consult the writing on my walls.
Most of which is a fiction anyway.
Most of which is a fiction anyway.
And I bring that up as a judgment.
And I bring that up as a
Because it has to match someplace on my walls.
Because it has to match someplace on
And
my
here,
walls.
and here I'm standing in front of this microphone,
And here I'm standing in front of this microphone,
wondering why people judge me.
wondering why people judge me.
They don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice.
And every single one of them has a different version of truth
And every single person has a different version of truth
than the one that I have.
than the one I have.
And they're going to judge me differently.
And they're going to judge me differently.
Get over it.
Get over it.
It's going to, is that not true? Are we not judged constantly? Everything that you do, everything. And do you judge everybody else constantly?
Yes.
Good, bad, or otherwise? And some of it you wouldn't want to verbalize what you were judging?
Oh, yeah.
But it happens all the time,
Yeah.
constantly. You have to do it. You're always consulting the writing on your walls. You're trying to make meaning out of everything, you and me as well. Trying to make meaning out of everything that we do. Everything. We're judge. That's all we do. We do it day and night, okay? Interesting. Fear. There should be no fear. I hope we did something with your fear of judgment, because I hope that was one of the greatest things for me in my own personal growth, was to recognize that what people were doing always was consulting the writing on their walls. So was I. So if I have an argument with somebody, like if I have an argument with you, who's the argument between? Stand up to the microphone. Who's the argument between? Okay, if you and I are arguing about something,
Yes.
Who's the argument between?
Well, there's three arguments that are going on
All right.
between us and internally. We each have our own tape going.
Yeah, we each have our own tape going. The real argument is between the tapes, which is the writing on the walls. See, we have an issue that you have one side of it, which means the writing on your walls has one side of it, because you must consult. That's your truth.
Right.
Okay, now mine's different than that. I have a different set of writing up here. And so I'm echoing my writing, and you're echoing your writing, and we seem to be having an argument, which is a huge fiction, because it's not between you and I at all. It's between our belief systems, if you will. It's another way to say the writing on our walls. That's what it is. And as soon as you recognize that, all of your arguments and your aggravations, etc., take a totally different perspective. It's always the writings on your wall. Always. Always. Yes. Can I hear a yes?
Yes.
Go ahead, Barbara.
Oh, that was
okay.
actually that hit home for me too, because the judgment, I find that for most everything that holds me back is my judgment of what other people are going to judge me with or at, coming from my point of view. So I put my point of view judgment on them, coming back to me to judge me.
Okay, I have an idea for you.
Yes, sir.
Why don't, instead of doing what you've been doing and getting judged, okay, and having the fear of that judgment and so on that we talked about, why don't you do something else and get judged for that instead?
Success.
Well, no, why don't you just do something else until you get judged for that?
Okay.
Because you will. It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get judged.
So continue just doing.
Well, yeah, but if you still have this clunk that goes on, I'm being judged, there's more tapping's got to be done on that.
I think that it's not so much the clump at that one, it's the, as I go back, because I didn't think about this until just now, what my mother had said to me is, don't do it if you're not going to do it right, and if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. I mean, they're diametrically opposed statements.
I know.
What do I do?
It's a comedy.
I mean, I'm paralyzed. I'm paralyzed in the middle of
Even
this.
though I'm paralyzed.
Even though I'm paralyzed.
By the way, this is for everybody. Even though I'm paralyzed by my mother, father, brother, sister's comments.
Even though I'm paralyzed, my mother, father, brother, comments.
Those comments that wrote on my walls.
Those comments wrote on my walls.
Simply came from the writing on their walls.
Simply came from the writing on their
Which was
walls.
placed there by somebody else.
Was placed there by somebody
That I
else.
don't even know.
That I don't even know.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept
for paying
myself.
attention to all these writings.
For paying attention to all these
And
writings.
giving them all this weight.
And giving them all this weight.
And I forgive my mother.
And I forgive my mother.
She was just doing the best she could.
She was just doing the best.
They're obviously her beliefs.
They were obviously her beliefs.
They conflict.
They conflict.
At least I know that logically.
At least I know that logically.
What I now need to do is tap on the emotional part of that. And even though my mother said it,
even though my mother said it,
I can still love my mother.
I can still love my mother.
I can still honor her
I can still honor
for
her.
writing on my walls.
For writing on my walls.
She wrote some more useful things there,
She wrote some more useful things.
but that one's got to go.
That one's got to go.
I love you, mother.
And I love you, mother.
Put your pen away.
Put your pen away.
Okay, thank you. Over here.
I'm Caroline, and
From Belgium.
that's right.
Yes.
And I can't be famous because I'm not interesting enough, I'm not funny enough, and I'm not clever enough.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I can't be famous because I'm not interesting enough, I'm not clever enough, and I'm not funny enough.
That's right. And I can have success, but in the shadow, not in the spotlight.
You can have success, but it must be in the shadow.
That's right.
Okay. By the way, when I talk about being rich and famous, or whatever the terms were, as we talked about, everybody has a different version of what that means. Okay. Like to some people it's a Hollywood celebrity or it's an athlete or something, you know, and to others it's something different. There's nothing here about what's right or wrong with success. There are a lot of people who are very successful in the shadow. What success is what you think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's an inside job.
Yes.
Success is where we make the error, I think, is that we evaluate success in the way we think the rest of the world will evaluate it, and therefore we have to match up with the writings on everybody else's wall on the planet. Okay. How do you know that you have to be funny to be famous?
Well, it's just because I would like to lead seminars like you do, and you have to be funny so that it's successful. I don't know. I find.
Oh.
Yes.
Do you know who Wayne Dyer is?
No.
Oh, okay. How many here know who Wayne Dyer is? How many here think Wayne Dyer is funny? How many here do you know who Deepak Chopra is?
Yes.
Okay, is he funny?
No.
Oh, okay. So he can't be famous.
Well, it's just maybe because I want to be famous and funny.
Oh.
I mean, for this kind of thing I want to do, yes.
And what's this the kind of thing you want to do?
Yes, I would like to do a seminar, EFT, to introduce EFT seminars in Belgium.
Uh-huh.
And also because I think I would like to connect that with spirituality, and I find that sometimes it's difficult to...
With pure charity?
Spirituality.
Oh, spirituality, I'm
Yes.
sorry, okay.
And I find that it's easier to get new things with humor to the people, to introduce new...
How do you know you find it easier? You haven't done it yet.
Because I've noticed when I go myself to seminars that when I have a good time, it's easier for me to learn.
Oh, okay. All right. So when a little humor gets thrown in there, why? It helps the heaviness of the workshop or something?
Happiness, I wouldn't say. It's just easier.
It's
Makes
easier.
things
Okay.
easier to digest.
Okay. Is it your view that people who are funny are born that way, or they had to practice it some?
No, they have to practice.
Oh, okay. Have you practiced?
Not much.
Oh, okay. All right. And you also have to be interesting?
Yes.
Okay. Do I pick up from that you do not consider yourself interesting?
That's right.
Okay. What makes you think you're not interesting?
It's a feeling I've had all my life.
Oh, that you're not interesting. And where did that... Who told you weren't interesting?
I think my parents, I mean, they didn't tell me, but that's the way they behave made me feel that way.
Oh, okay. So you picked up from them you're not interesting.
That's right.
Okay. They may not have said that.
That's
but,
right. I'm
But
sure
they
they didn't say.
They implied it somehow or other.
That's right.
And they may not even have meant it, but you picked it up that way. The true statement is you picked it up that way, whatever they meant.
Absolutely.
Okay. They may have meant it, but the true statement is you picked it up that way.
That's right.
Okay. So interesting, funny. What was the other thing? Clever.
Yes.
Okay. You're not clever?
Not enough.
Well, then I wouldn't do this business. I think you're stuck. I think I just got to go back to Belgium and do whatever you do in Belgium, you know. Does she have a nice smile, by the way? First name is Christine?
No, Caroline. Always Caroline.
Caroline.
Yes.
Caroline, I'm sorry. Okay. I just had something that... okay. Tap with me, okay? Even though I think to be effective...
Even though I think to be effective.
I have to do things the way other people do them. I have to be interesting the way other people seem to be interesting. I have to be funny the way other people seem to be funny. And I have to be clever the way other people seem to be clever. And when I think that, I shut the door on the fact That I'm a rather unique person. I have my own blend of adjectives that define me, and I'm trying to do it according to somebody else's rules. I have to. I look out and see other people that may be effective, and I try to model what they do, and that's got some value in it. That's how you learn. But just because somebody else does something doesn't mean it's necessarily the way I should do something. I can take hints from somebody else and tips from somebody else. But if I try to emulate somebody else, totally, I'm in trouble. Because I put a lid on the true me. Okay. Let me ask you something, Caroline. If you couldn't be interesting, clever, and funny, would it be possible to give effective workshops?
Not to my standard, no.
Oh, not to your standard?
That's right.
Oh, okay. Okay. What is the difference between somebody who is very interesting and somebody who's not interesting?
Well, I wouldn't listen to the not interesting person.
Well, how do you know they're interesting?
What? Because of what they say and the way they deliver it.
Sure. Okay. All right. Which has, again, their cleverness and their humor and their funniness, right?
Right.
All that's part of the interestingliness.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Tap with me. Even though I haven't practiced these things yet. Let me stop a second. How much experience do you have here?
In what?
In giving workshops?
None.
Oh.
Well, I've given 2 days of hypnosis to some kinesiologists, yes.
Okay. How did it go?
Very well.
Is that because you were not interesting, not clever, and not funny?
I'm not sure I was funny.
Go ahead.
I think I was interesting.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think clever went into, I didn't need to be clever, I don't think.
Okay, so you didn't need to be clever. You didn't think you were very funny, but you were interesting. So you got 1 out of 3?
Yes.
And it worked?
Yes.
Okay. Even though I only need 1 out of 3, and I think I have to have all 3, and I only have experience with 1 workshop, I choose to beat myself up for all the things I haven't practiced yet. Because after all, I should already know these things. I shouldn't practice them. They should just come naturally. And if they don't come naturally, then I shouldn't be doing this. I should do something else. I should let the clever people do these things. And the funny people do these things. And the interesting people do these things. Not me. I'm not going to practice. Not me. No. One of the things I'd suggest to you, Caroline, is I'll give you an example. When I first started speaking, this is a true story. I hired a gal, and her job was to get me in front of audiences so I could speak. Okay? That was her job. I didn't care who the audience was. Her job was to run around and line me up with people I could speak to. The first audience that I ever had, I hope you're ready for this. She lined me up for it. It was a what is the right term? I'm going to say it's an old folks' home, but it's even beyond that. Most of these people were in their 90s. They didn't hear very well. And as I was speaking, they were doing this. And as I asked them a question about what I was talking about, they say, huh? I'm serious. I'm serious. So if you want a challenging audience, okay? But what I did was I kept having her do that. And then we got in front of the Rotary Club and some other places and this, that, and the other thing. And there were people who weren't the slightest bit interested in my topic, and other people that were. And so that's what I did. That's how I learned to be a speaker. You have to go out there and stub your toe. That's the experience part of it. You see? Sometimes you've already had one experience that was successful. I have a question for you. I guess you want to have it even more successful. That's why you're standing there, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay. How many here, by the way, have given some kind of a talk for your first time and you blew it badly? Okay. Really badly, Diana? Okay. I'm going to do one more round of this if I can, because I think that the stubbing your toe is important. Even though I may have this idea, and by this isn't just you, Caroline, it's the whole audience, okay? Even though I may have this idea that I'm supposed to get things done right the first time, I'm supposed to stand in front of an audience and they're supposed to go ooh and ah, and my clients are all supposed to go, oh, I'm fixed forever. I'm going to send you all my friends. And I think this has to happen the very first time I do it. And I think there's nothing to learn from my failures, if you will. That's the great illusion. The way I get interesting, clever, and funny is to have experience, to stub my toe, and find out what is not interesting, clever, and funny. And believe me, the audience will tell me. All I have to do is listen, because they are judging me. And all I have to do then is recognize that they're doing me a favor. Now, doesn't that seem like just an easy thing to say? They're doing me a favor. You get up there and this happens, and you feel devastated for God knows how long. You know, that's why we're tapping all this so you can get beyond all of that. Okay. Anything more, Caroline?
Yes, it's just also I would like I just start my financial life alone because I'm in the process of divorcing. So I've read all your things, and I find also that I have to be clever, especially clever if I want to go to corporation and do coaching, you know, to get.
You have to be clever.
Yes, and to speak with these people that you know in corporation they are very left brain people, and I'm much more.
How do you know they're left brain?
Because of their degrees and the kind of corporation they work in?
I know a lot of business people. And yes, there's some left brains there, but the ones that are really good, in my opinion, operate from the right brain. That's where they come from. Because they are good with people. They manage people. They manage hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people in corporations. That's where they're good. And they hire people to do the left brain stuff, the accounting stuff and all that kind of stuff. Great salespeople come from here. From the right brain, okay. So you have a thought that says, in order to.
It's just the first appointment, the first call that I have blocks. Just to
of course, yeah, because it's out of your comfort zone.
That's right.
You're not used to the business area.
That's right.
You're not used to business people, and you probably have some stereotypes about. Thank you for the question, because it's a very important one. You probably have some stereotypes about corporate presidents. Let me ask you a second. What's a corporate president? I mean, what kind of a person is a corporate president, Rosemary? Whatever's in your writing on your walls.
Smart, go-getter.
Smart, go-getter. Yeah, okay.
Good with people.
Good with people.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What about you? What about you, Christine?
Stoic.
Stoic. Okay. What else?
Maybe more successful than me.
Maybe more successful than you. Okay. Are they easy to get along with, Kathy?
No.
They're not easy to get along with. Okay. Yet they're supposed to be really good with people. Well, she didn't say it, but that's her truth. That's her truth. Okay. Do you like business people?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yes, I do.
What I want to know is it's not a criticism. It's an observation that was written on your walls. Corporate president. I'm going to go see one. I'm going to go see one tomorrow. What kind of person is he?
I'm afraid of them.
And you're afraid of him? Why?
They have the power. And I want something from them, and I may not get it. So rejection.
So they have power, and you are powerless, relatively?
I think I am. We're getting it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Well, that's okay. See, this is stuff, it's standard stuff written on the walls. It's very standard. Very standard. Okay. I know a few corporate presidents, and one thing nice about corporate presidents is they are decision makers. If you can get in to see them, they are decision makers. Now, their decision may be to send you downstairs, you know, to some other department or something, but they are decision makers. They are also, if you get their attention, they're approachable, and I'm giving you generalities here, okay? But they will listen to you. And I would much rather talk with a corporate president about something than I would somebody way down the line who doesn't even have the decision-making power to do what I'm talking about. Now, as a practical matter, you have something totally unique and something that corporate president absolutely wants. The biggest paycheck, the biggest check that corporate president writes every single month is for his payroll in most corporations, by far. And you can come in there with your techniques, and you can help their salespeople get better sales. You can get more productivity out of the workforce. You know, fewer headaches, fewer depression sessions, fewer blah blah blah, blah, and on it goes. You can do more. You as a one person can do more than their entire EAP department, employee assistance department. Well, I'm serious. One person using this effectively can do more than the entire department can, that they're always spending $1 million, $2 million, or $5 million a year for that department. Okay. Now, I just said that. Is that in your belief system? Do you believe that logically?
Yes, I do believe that logically. But like, my husband has got a business, and he doesn't want that kind of thing for his company. I mean, it's not a big corporation. It's a company with 30 people. But
oh, okay.
I know that his belief system says there's nothing to do with.
Okay, and so far, what you're doing, he does not see how that would be useful.
That's right.
In his business. And therefore, and this is very logical, what you will do is you will take that and transfer it over to all the rest of the business people, because they're going to think the same way.
That's right.
Okay, even though I think everybody thinks the same way, when I know otherwise, I'm willing to take the decision of one person and call that a decision the decision everybody would make, even though everyone is different, has different writings on their walls, etc. But as long as my husband doesn't like it, I'll be darned if I'm going to see any other business person. Because my husband knows. He knows everything. So do my parents. So does my sister. So does my brother. So does my preacher. Everybody else that I talk to knows everything. And I'm willing to take their opinion and stop myself from the rest of the world. One business person's opinion is going to stop me from the scads of business people out there. How are we doing?
Much better.
What I'm trying to do is loosen things up. See, and one of the disadvantages of this is it's very difficult to go one-on-one and really get down to some other things in there. Okay, if you were to, well, let me ask you what happened, Caroline. If you were to ignore your husband's disbelief and go off and call on other business people, would there be repercussions at home?
I don't understand, sorry.
Would there be penalties? Would your husband ridicule you or tease you? Or?
He left me, so there wouldn't be...
Oh, that's right. Pay attention, Gary. See, I'm not very interesting or clever. I didn't even remember that, right? Well, it's even your divorced husband that did that, right?
Yes.
Do you pay attention to the rest of his opinions? Apparently not.
Well, apart from that one.
Yeah.
No, I think apart from that one, I mean, because he's in business and he resents everything, the kind of thing I'm doing.
Oh, okay. All right. Now this is we're not going to tap on this here, but this is a one-on-one thing because you know your husband or ex-husband has some influence over you, and he has some attitudes which get to you, etc. Those are individual tapping issues.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you're going to have to zero in on those and sever that. Okay. But the mere fact is you're not going to go out and see corporate presidents. It's one thing because you think there's some kind of evil person with lots of power and whatever else, and that's all tappable as well. But it's another thing to have the influence that you have, from ex-family, etc. Back here, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Hello. Yeah. What's interesting to me is that even though I had a different question in mind and we tapped on different things, my level's gone way down.
Oh, for your original question?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why we're doing this.
But it had to do with fear of success rather than fear of failure.
What's the difference?
Well, my concern is that if I those people that are lined up outside the door, if I let them know how good I am at what I do, and they start telling each other, and I let any of them open the door, they'll drive me nuts.
I don't get that. Sister, try it again. Say it again to me. That being successful kind of takes away your
your anonymity and your right to have a private life and
Oh, okay.
choose who you're going to help, and everybody's sort of wanting you to help them.
Yes, and that's a realistic thing. That's a realistic thing. And some people like that, some people don't. Okay? And I don't think that's an area where we necessarily tap. I mean, the mere fact that I said I'm rich and I'm famous or whatever this thing was that we did and people lined up outside my door, that's just to get your tail enders. Okay? That wasn't necessarily to be, that should be a goal necessarily. That is some people's goal. Okay?
Well, I think the writing on the wall is that you can't be famous and still have a private life.
And
Which doesn't seem sensible to me.
Well, I think it is sensible.
Oh.
We have many good examples of that.
So you have that writing on your wall, too.
Well, yeah.
But it doesn't stop you from doing anything.
Yeah, correct, but let me comment on it if I may.
Yeah.
Somebody like Frank Sinatra, was very famous. And he couldn't go any place without people coming up to him. He couldn't go to a restaurant, for example, without people coming up saying, "Can I have your autograph," etc. Elvis Presley couldn't even leave his house without being mobbed, okay, etc. And so, to the extent that's an intrusion for you and you don't want that, then that's, to me, that's a realistic barrier to not having people being famous, if you will. Now, there's one thing to be famous to the degree Frank Sinatra was, or Barbara Streisand is, or something like that. It's one thing to be famous in that level, which you really don't need to be perfectly successful in this field, by the way. It's another thing to be well known in your town and well known in your area, where people aren't running up and having you sign an autograph, etc. To a degree, that's kind of fun. I enjoy that. I never expected that. I mean, I put myself, we'll hear about this a bit later, I put myself on film. And I end up in people's living rooms. And all of a sudden, it's a really fascinating phenomenon to watch. I walk around this hotel and people say, "Oh, Gary!" I have no idea who they are. And I love talking to them, etc. But I really would not want, everywhere I went in the world, to have people stop and want to start talking to me. There's a level there, you know what I mean? And so you have to draw your own level there. Are we making sense? I don't even think we have a tappable issue. It's more like a discussable issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If as you go on, some clues on how to find that balance.
Yeah, it's a balance for yourself. It's a balance for yourself. You may find you really like it. It may be a big ego deal for you and one thing and another, and you really like it, and you'd even go farther and farther with it. And your view of what it might be like is nothing more than your view of what it might be like, because you haven't been there.
Well, in other areas I've been there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's writing on your walls about what this area would be like.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that's what you consult that writing on the walls and so on. Okay. All right. Thanks. Yolanda?
Hello. Gary.
Okay.
Gary.
The first thing I got was...
Next.
We've been here for...
I'm sorry. I did not see you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let me go to you now. I'm sorry, Yolanda. Go ahead. I'm very sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't think you could see us because of the light.
Yeah, and you're correct. I
Yeah.
can see you, but it was blocked.
Okay, so ever since I've taken EFT from Paul Cutright, which is, by the way, an excellent teacher, the technique is so simple, and there's an old saying, believing is seeing. Well, I've been using it, and it's like I laugh because I don't believe what I'm seeing as far as the results. And even when I do animals, because animals, to me, give out a bigger release than a human that I've ever seen. I mean, they just really respond to it, and it just boggles my mind. And if I feel I don't believe it enough, then how is somebody else going to believe it? They may pick up on what my lack of belief system.
Oh, absolutely. You will radiate your beliefs whether you want to or not. People will pick it up in your tone of voice, the words you choose to use, your posture, the look in your face, everything.
Even though I'm trying to fake it as I'm there. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'll only fake it effectively for so long.
Right.
Eventually you'll radiate it, where you're coming from. But I'm confused about something there. You are apparently, to your own eyes at least, having great success with it.
Right.
Yet you aren't believing it.
Right.
So there's something about your belief strategy, to use an NLP term, that is missing here. What does it take for you to believe it?
The first thing that came to my mind was just repetition, just seeing it more and more until it...
How many times have you seen it so far?
Oh, since I've done Paul's class was I think last summer.
So how many times? 100 times?
Oh, more than that.
Oh,
Ever
okay.
since that class. I mean,
Okay.
every day.
Well, do this for me if you would. If there was another phrase instead of "I don't believe it" that you could use to describe this discussion, what would it be?
I did that.
Famous.
Okay, that's okay. And another one would be?
Wow.
How is that different from "I believe it"?
I have no, it boggles my mind so much, it just freezes.
It freezes.
Yeah.
In other words, you're watching this happen. Is it like this shouldn't happen?
Okay, and how could something so simple give such results?
There we go. How could something so simple give such results?
And dramatic results.
And how could something so... I'm picking up the true area there is it's got to be complicated for it to be worthwhile.
Okay.
Well, that's what I'm picking up.
Right,
But you're the one that has the issue.
Well, yeah, because all the other techniques I do are a lot more complicated than this.
Yes. Well, why don't you do them? Was that clever and funny? I'm serious.
Because
Why don't
I like simpleness
Oh, okay.
and quickness.
Okay. Behind that also might be, and I'm guessing here because I just want to explore with you. If it is that simple, then doesn't that violate all of my other training? Is that true?
Yes, yes.
Okay, what other training do you have?
Oh, it's a multitude of different techniques. I've been doing it for 10 years.
Well, do you have like degrees, like PhD or licensing of some kind and
Just
so on?
certification.
Okay, but lots of them.
Yes.
And they're all very complicated.
Compared to this.
Yeah, hypnotherapy type things maybe?
No, not that.
Okay, well name a few things.
Touch for Health, Brain Gym, Stress Without the Stress, and the codes that I showed you, which is
Yes.
really no name to that.
Yes.
I can't even think of all. There's so many.
Yes, okay. And they're all far more complex than this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, tap with me.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah,
Gary,
sure,
how many else in the room find it hard to believe this technique is so effective?
How many here find it hard to believe the technique is so effective? I mean, I want to ask the question differently.
Okay.
Not academically, how hard is it to believe it? How many of you do it and say, this really can't happen, I don't believe it? I mean, okay?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Oh, we have a number of people here. That's interesting. I didn't think that. Okay. Why do you keep doing it if you don't believe it? I'm sorry, you raised your hand here, Myron. Why do you keep doing it?
I have no idea. I've seen it work, but I don't believe, well, kind of like her, I don't believe that I could do it. If it's that simple, and other people should do it, and if they don't do it, then it's not going to work. And so whether it works or not is immaterial.
You do it anyway?
Yes.
Okay. Comedy. Comedy, are we right? None of this is criticism. Absolutely none of it. It is the comedy on our walls. We have. Somebody should make a script out of the financial comedies on our walls, because it would make a Broadway play that would last forever. I think, you know. Where were we? Yeah, complicated. That's right. Okay, right here. Even though I'm somehow of the view, or maybe better stated, some other people are of the view, and they wrote this on my walls, that it needs to be complicated in order to be effective. We have to learn lots of things. We have to go on and on and on. We have to have degrees and all kinds of levels to be effective with something. We can't just find the core of everything. We can't just find one thing that transcends it all and links it all together. That is really quite simple. It has to be more complicated. I really don't want to start from where I am with all the complication and go backwards to something that's foundational. Why would I want to do that?
Why would I want to do
I might have to start all over.
I'd have to start all over.
Maybe the stuff that I've learned already wasn't worth learning. How are we doing back there? Any of that land home for you?
Yeah, and I just had an aha of why I have this challenge to believe it, because I grew up with a mechanic father, and I worked mechanically. So because I don't, and all the other techniques were left and right brain, they showed me the mechanics of the techniques. I don't know the mechanics of this. How does it work? Why does it work? And so on.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have theory. That's what happened with every new discovery, if you will, is you have theories as to why it works. And so people play ping pong with the theories, and they try new things, and sooner or later we find out that this theory doesn't fit what we're finding, so we now have to have a new theory. We have to adjust our theory to match what we're finding. And then we find more new things, and now the old theory doesn't quite match, so we have to change it again. And that's how science goes. We're on the ground floor here. Now, you can wait if you want for 30, 40 years until we've found out why it works.
Right.
Okay? Even though I don't want to wait 30 or 40 years. No, even though I'm willing to wait 30 or 40 years to find out how it works. I deeply and completely accept myself for my complete inflexibility. I have to know exactly how things work, or I won't even use them. That's why I don't use my refrigerator. Or my television set. That's enough, I think. How are we doing on time here? We're getting there. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Yolanda, and then I'll get back to you. Go ahead, Yolanda.
Can I say something quickly, Gary? I want Yolanda to go, but I stood at that mic before the break. I've stood at this mic after break.
I'm sorry.
And no, my issue is I can't be famous because how can I put myself forward?
Well, that's pretty global.
No, but I'm just saying it's so funny the way it got mirrored that I stood, over there first before the break and here, and I couldn't put myself forward.
Yes.
But go ahead and we can,
Okay. All right, go ahead, Yolanda.
Okay, it kind of goes in with that.
Speak in the microphone.
Okay. The first thing when we started the affirmation, I'm so famous, people line up for me. I go, yeah, right. And then, oh, shit. And then...
That's a technical term? Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then in order to be successful, and a lot of people got into this, I have to be visible. And then the next thing was successful people highly express creativity.
Successful people highly express creativity.
Okay.
That's written on your walls.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Here is the bottom line, the mommy stuff. You thought I'd ever get there, right?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was the prize pig.
You were the prize pig.
Prize pig. At the county fair, I got the blue ribbons.
Uh-huh.
I got put ahead in school. I was very pretty. Look at her. Prize pig. Calling card.
What's the last term?
Calling card.
Calling card.
I was my mother's calling card.
Yeah. Oh, your mother's calling card.
I was my mother's business card.
Yes.
It was her business promoting me to be the prize pig.
Yes.
And I don't want to be the prize pig.
Yes.
I mean, okay, this is the bottom line.
That's a should.
That's a should.
It's a should.
It's a shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, should or shouldn't, whatever, that's the wrong goal to chase.
Right.
And the right thing to do is to recognize it. I mean, we've already tapped on shoulds and that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
But yes.
So that's my great aha.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. 3 things about money.
3 things about money. Oh, good. We can reduce money to 3 things.
All right. When we were tapping before and we were mentioning famous people and you mentioned Mother Teresa.
Yes.
Mother Teresa was poor. I mean, good people are poor.
People are poor.
The Catholic Church tells you that rich people don't go to heaven.
I know. Okay. And they wrote something on your wall.
Yes.
And I'm not about to get into religion here, but except they wrote something on your wall.
Yeah.
And which is good. Say it again.
Good people don't get rich.
Good people don't get rich. Okay, I don't think I've heard it just that way. How many of you are Catholic and recognize that phrase? Good people don't get rich?
Oh, rich people don't go to heaven.
Rich people don't don't go to heaven. Oh, okay.
Are we all Reformed Catholics?
Rich people don't go to heaven. Okay. All right. But I need to ask you something.
Yes.
How much money is rich?
I don't know, millions?
Well, wait a minute, wait a minute. I want to go to heaven.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a little money, and I want to know how much money I can't have before I can no longer go to heaven. How much can I donate some of these things? No, I'm serious about that. See, I need to know the level of it. What is rich? Tell me what rich is.
Rich is
what does the Catholic Church say rich is? Rich is how much money?
I don't know.
They don't tell you?
No, they don't.
Then how do you know if you're going to go to heaven or not?
Well, I'm poor.
You're poor?
I don't make much money, so that gives me a ticket.
Well, let me suggest something to you. Let me suggest something to you. The mere fact that you have enough money to come to this workshop puts you in the upper 5% of the financial earners in the world. Are you going to go to heaven?
It feels good. I don't know if I'm going to go to heaven, but it does feel good.
Do you care?
No.
Just tap with me, if you will. I got to tell you something first of all. One thing I don't want to get involved with and step on is people's religious beliefs. However, religious organizations do write on our walls, and they write very powerfully. Okay, so we're going to talk about some things that may be written on your walls. It is not a suggestion that one religion is better or less than another. It is simply a comment on what's written on your walls and what you're doing about it. Okay, that's for you to adjust for yourself. Okay, even though I'm told that to be rich, whatever that means I won't go to heaven, or I'm not spiritual, or there's something wrong with me, or I'm greedy. I deeply and completely accept myself. And I wish somebody would tell me just what rich means. So I would know how to get into heaven. There's something wrong with the fact. There's something wrong with the fact. See, what you're saying is people who make lots of money and then give it away to everybody else, that they're not going to go to heaven because they're rich. I'm asking you.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
No, actually, that's okay.
Oh, that's okay?
That's okay.
Where does it say that?
Well, I mean, in the old days, if you died and you left all your money to the Catholic Church, you definitely would go to heaven.
Okay. Even though there are lots of writings on my walls that come from lots of places, including my religious organizations and my parents and my teachers, many of which conflict, and I really don't know how to explain them. And if I try to pull them apart and look at them logically, I see a comedy. I'm willing to look for new writings on my walls, because those may not be terribly effective. Okay, you said there were 3 things about money. That was 1.
Number 2, being worthy of having money.
Okay. Are you or are you not worthy of having money? I'm asking for the writing on your walls.
No, I'm not.
Oh, you're not. Okay. So what else is the writing on there? I am not. Finish this sentence for me. I am not worthy of earning a lot of money because.
Because a woman either marrying money or she doesn't have the capability of making money.
Oh, okay. It's the I'm a woman thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. The men can tap here too if you want, all right? Because there are parallels, all right? Even though I'm a woman, and I somehow think that I live in a man's financial world, I deeply and completely accept myself because I bought something that's not totally true. There are certain areas where I wouldn't want to go. I'm not going to play professional basketball, for example. At least not in men's basketball. But the I am a woman excuse is no different than I am too young excuse. Or the I am too old excuse. Or the I'm not pretty enough excuse. Or the I'm too pretty excuse. Or I'm too sexy excuse. Or I'm not sexy enough excuse. There are lots of things that I could mention about me that don't fit in certain areas in this world. But there are tons of places where people can make money in this world, woman or not. How many books have I read that were written by some author that had either a male or female name, and I don't really know who wrote it? Okay. How many websites have I been on that were run by women and I don't even know? Okay. There are lots of ways to be anonymous. And if you think being a female is in your way, I think being a female is in my way, I can get around that. There are other niches, by the way, where females are designed for it. Who better to treat women's issues than women? Now, there are some men who treat women's issues, but there ain't very many of them, because they will say, I'm a man. Who controls the wealth in this country? The wealthy. Well, the wealthy. Yes. And when the wealthy divorce, then who controls the money?
Whoever gets the money. The wife.
It is well known that the purse strings in this world are largely spent, if you will, by the wives, by the women in this world. Okay. And one of the biggest issues in therapy are women's issues, is it not? I'm going to talk about women's issues as a way of specialty a little bit later on. But I'm a man up here, okay? Am I out of bounds? No, I'm not? Okay. Okay. So here you have one of the biggest pocketbooks in the whole country, and you are a woman, and you have a much better entree to that than any man you can find, because women would much rather deal with women, because women understand women's issues. There's not a man here who has PMS. How many men have PMS? I see a hand back there. Okay. Okay. What are we doing time-wise? Oh, we're a little bit late. Okay. It's 12:03. It's time for lunch.